everybody, what's up? It's Lily. So today I wanted to talk about something that is very important to me, and it's something that I have been going through for years, and I never talked about it, and I never was comfortable with it, and I just recently have started to be open and confident about it and comfortable with who I am, but for a long time I wasn't. So I am bisexual. It's kind of crazy like talking about it on the internet because just for so long I didn't talk about it and I didn't acknowledge it as something that was part of my life, even though it is, and it's makes me who I am, makes me me, and I just never thought that I would be talking about it on YouTube or on anywhere. It's just so crazy to me that I'm finally open and able to talk about it. Sorry, I just am so emotional. I don't know, I didn't expect to get emotional, but here we are. Anyway, I wanted to finally say like on the internet and like announce it to everybody, and because it's such a big part of my life and a big part of who I am, and I'm finally able to share that with people, and that is so surreal and so special, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about it because I know when I was a confused teen I needed these kinds of videos, like these coming out videos were my outlet and the way I figured it out. Also, a lot of the experiences that I found on YouTube were not my own experience. It was a very different experience for me. So I kind of wanted to talk about that. Let's start from the beginning. So when I was, in kindergarten, first grade, going into junior high, I really never thought about girls. Like, I liked guys. I never was super into guys, to be honest. When you have like a crush on one boy all of elementary school? That was what I had. So I had a crush on this one boy all of elementary school. And like I said, I never really thought about girls. I remember going into 6th grade, I think 6th or 7th grade, I remember it in 7th grade, watching Pretty Little Liars. If you do watch the show, you know, but if you don't watch the show, Pretty Little Liars, there's a lesbian character, Emily. That was the first time I had ever seen like a lesbian character, or anyone for that matter, because where I live, it's very conservative. I was like, huh, like I like that, and I could never really figure out why. I just did. So in 8th grade, I don't remember how I came upon these videos. On YouTube, I came upon videos of girls kissing. And again, I liked it. Like, I resonated with it. And at the time, that freaked me out. I really, really didn't think about it till freshman year of high school when I went to this party. I remember very little of this night, but I do remember walking up to her and being like, hey, I've never kissed a girl before. And she was like, oh, you haven't? And I was like, no. And she said, do you want to? And then we just started making out. And in that moment, it was so, I didn't even think about it. Like, it was just a natural like thing that happened. I didn't plan it. I never in a million years thought that would ever happen. It just happened, and it was good. Like, I liked it. The next day though, I remember waking up and feeling so ashamed. Like, so ashamed. I felt disgusting. Like, my whole body felt like repulsive. I was so ashamed, so disgusted with myself. We posted pictures on Twitter and stuff. I just remember deleting all of them. I deleted everything, and I just didn't want to remember that night. I felt disgusting and ashamed, and it was honestly one of the worst feelings, feeling ashamed like that. So I pushed the feelings down. I did not acknowledge it at all. I didn't think about it, I didn't acknowledge it until sophomore year. I was on the bus with my friend I was really involved in church when I was in high school, at least, my freshman and sophomore year. So we were on the bus going to a retreat center. This is the first time I ever told anybody, because it was like my biggest secret of my whole life. And I told her that I kissed a girl once. But my story was that, she came on to me, she kissed me for some reason, but it was still my biggest secret and I wanted to tell her. She was really supportive, actually. She really gave me validation that I needed because, I was still in denial at that point. Also, after that, I would tell people, especially my guy friends, yeah, it's this crazy thing happened where, this girl said she had never kissed a girl and she came on to me and I just kissed her. I totally fabricated the story, totally, turned it around to make it seem like it was just this crazy thing that happened and I didn't even want it and, whatever. But they gave me positive validation because, pubescent boys thought it was hot, So sophomore year, around Christmas time, my friends and I, we went to the mall and we went to this place called Hot Rags. I don't know if any of you have that where you live, but we're walking through the store and this girl is looking at me. Like, she keeps looking at me and my friends were like, that girl's like totally checking you out. And I was like, no guys, like that's crazy, no. We go up to the counter and I'm like looking at stuff in the front and she starts talking to me and flirting with me. At least that's what I thought. I thought she was flirting with me, and so did my friends, but who knows. But my friends were like, this girl totally is into you. And they were like, not trying to be malicious or mean, but my one friend was like, I'll pretend to be your girlfriend so this girl leaves you alone. And in the moment, I was playing it cool. I was like, okay, yeah, like, sure. It's so weird, this girl's hitting on me, like, oh my gosh. But like, I liked it. I secretly liked it. So I remember my friend coming up to me and being like, hey babe, where were you? Like holding my hand, stroking my arm, like girlfriendy things. And I was like, hey babe, like what's up? And I don't know, it was just really stupid. But that's one of those things that where like I, in the moment, was so in denial about it, but actually found validation through that. Sophomore year, I went to my friend's house for a New Year's party. And after the New Year's party, I slept over. And so we decided that we were gonna do makeovers, scene makeovers. So I remember sitting on her bed and feeling like attracted to her. And it was so scary and so weird because this was my friend. I remember like shaking the feeling right away, but it was so weird and I've never told her. So if you're watching this, hi, that happened. Cause it's just awkward. I didn't know how she'd react and all this stuff, but because she knows I'm bisexual now, but then she didn't know. Junior year, this was like the peak of my confusion. For a long time, I was like, am I a lesbian? Like, I really didn't know. I was really confused. So I remember junior year talking to my one lesbian friend. I remember talking to her and texting her and just being so confused and like being like describing situations that I've been in and stuff. And I was like, am I a lesbian? She didn't really know how to advise me, but she was really nice and really supportive. And I would write all this stuff and be like, am I bisexual? And she's like, I don't know. Only really you can figure that out, but let it happen naturally. And it's so funny because I would type all this stuff like about how I was so confused and how like I think girls are really pretty and I like to kiss them. And then I'd be like, but I'm straight though. Like I know I'm straight. What I would tell people at the time is, yeah, I'm straight, but like I'd make out with girls. Like I'm straight, but I'd kiss girls. It makes no sense, but I was so scared, like so scared and so, I don't know, ashamed, and I was scared of what people would think of me. And it just, being bi is so confusing, like so confusing. Around this time, I was also watching so many coming out videos. I would look up, how to know if you're bisexual, and like I would do like random quizzes to see if you're bisexual. Like, I'd be like, am I bi? And then I'd watch all the YouTube coming up videos like Miss Fender and Melanie Murphy, and at the time Shane Dawson just came out as bi, and you know, those videos really got me through my time being confused, because like I could relate to them. I could relate to these videos, but because so many other videos that I was watching were like how I knew I was lesbian, how I knew I was gay, and they were like, I've known since I was little, I've known since I was little, and I just didn't. I didn't know since I was little. I didn't, because I liked boys, and that was the social norm for me to like boys. And I just sat there in my room, and I remember just sitting there crying and being so confused and so ashamed, I guess. The summer going into senior year, I went to another program. The first week, I had met all these new friends and everything, and I was having so much fun, and I met this bisexual guy. And, you know, at this point, I really didn't tell anyone. I think the only people that I even talked to about it was my friend, my lesbian friend, like my girlfriend that, you know, I was friends with. And I think that's the only person that I ever talked to anything about like this. So to be in a place where so many people, like, I had never, ever met other bisexual people besides my one friend that I met sophomore year, let alone, you know, bisexual guys and bisexual girls and, you know, gay girls and gay guys. Like, there was a plethora of sexualities at this program. And I remember sitting at the table during dinner time, and they were all kind of talking about sexuality, and I was like, I have to tell you all something. And they were like, what is it? And I was like, I think I'm bisexual. And that's the first time I ever talked about it out loud like this. You know, it was very, I don't know, like, it made me feel happy because they were so nice and so, like, sweet and responsive, and like, wow, like, that's so cool, you know, talking about it. My one bisexual guy friend really did help me figure it out, and same with my other guy friend there who was also bisexual, and my roommate. They were so wonderful, and, you know, especially my roommate there really listened to my problems, and she was so supportive and everything, and because I told her everything about how I might be bisexual and I don't know and all this stuff. But while I was there, there was one girl, she was so pretty in my class, and I started to develop like a little crush on her. But I remember like writing about her in my journal and stuff, but it turns out she's straight, so I kind of nipped that into the bud pretty quick because I was like, okay, she's straight, like, I can't like her. So I met this other girl who, very innocent, we were just friends at first, and we were both musical theater majors, and she was in my dance class. So, you know, we started talking and hanging out, and I found that I really liked spending time with her, and, you know, I really admired her. Like, I wanted to be around her all the time. I really liked her style. It was really cool and edgy. And I remember taking her out to dinner one day with like a bunch of people, and my roommate was like, you guys are flirty? And I was like, no, we're not, you know, but clearly we were, but I was scared and, I don't know, young. Anyway, we just became really close, and through that whole time, I developed a crush on her. I really did, and I didn't know if she liked me back. I didn't know anything, but I remember the night before we were going home, like the night camp was over. Like, this is the last night of camp. Everyone was leaving after this. My roommate and I were staying up talking, and I had been hanging out with the girl that I had a crush on. I really wanted to kiss her, like, so bad. But she had never kissed anyone before, so I didn't want to, like, take her first kiss away from her, as, like, the way I thought of it then. So, you know, I left her room pretty late, and I came back to my room, and my roommate kind of, like, knew that I was thinking about kissing her. And she was like, did you do it? And I was like, no, I chickened out. And she's like, you're going back up there and you're doing it. And I was like, no, like, I can't. And basically my roommate was like, I am locking this door and making you go kiss her, like, go. You know what I mean? Like, she's 2 floors up, go. And I did need the push. Like, I love my roommate to this day. Like, we're really close friends still. She's great. If you're watching this, I love you, and you really got me through some hard times. Long story short, I go up to her room. I remember standing in front of the door, like, pondering if I'm gonna kiss her, like, for 10 minutes. I was like sitting outside the door, like, I want to, but I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I should or shouldn't, like, and I was like, you know what, Lily, like, fuck it, like, just do it, you know, just go and do it. So I knocked on the door, I walked into her room. I'm so lame. I was like, can I kiss you? Like, I just sat in the bed, and I was like, took me a while though, took me a while to say it. And I was like, can I kiss you? And she's like, yeah. And so I kissed her. I was really nervous, she was really nervous, I assume, from what she told me. It turns out she did have a crush on me, but I didn't, like, once we kissed, I didn't feel like a spark. Like, I didn't feel, I guess, what I should feel if I like someone. So in my mind, that meant I was straight. So that happened, and you know, that camp really was a pivotal moment for me. After camp, my friend had her birthday party, and I went to her birthday party, and I was like, guys, I have to tell you something. And I will never forget this. My best friend since like 4th grade looks me in the eyes and is like, are you bisexual? I'm like, yeah, like, yeah, I am. I was like, what? Like, I thought it'd be this big pivotal moment, like, I would spill my heart out to her, and she's like, are you bi? I'm like, yes. I was like, how did you know? And literally all my friends were like, Lily, come on, like, you talk about girls all the time, like, you've kissed girls, you've made out with, like, you talk about how you would make out with girls and stuff like that, and none of them talked about that stuff, just me. I was the only one. They were all so supportive. They literally don't care. They were like, oh my gosh, like, that's awesome. I remember after that, I sat down with my twin sister, Aspasia, I call her Asia, and told her, you know, I think I'm bisexual. And her reaction wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. A lot of it was like, she's like, are you sure? And I was like, I don't know, but I think, and I kind of explained like why I thought so. And she was like, are you sure? Like, she was kind of skeptical about it because she's known me for my whole life and I've never talked about it. So I get why she would be skeptical. She thought at first it might be for like attention. I was like, no, that's not at all. Like, in fact, it's the opposite. I really was scared about doing this and everything. And she was supportive, and she continues to be supportive to this day. But so that was a little bit of a different reaction than I got, but not negative, just a little bit different. I would tell my close friends and stuff, but I never told my family. And it's not even because I didn't think they would support me. It's scary. And I remember driving with my dad in the car and asking him years ago, like, what would you do if one of your kids was gay? And he was like, I would love them the same as I love all my children. Like, my parents are really, really supportive and wonderful, but still, it just scared me. I wish I wasn't ready. And that's a huge thing that I found is like, come out when you're ready. And if you never want to come out, never come out. Like, come out when you're ready and come out when it's the best time for you. Senior year went by wonderful. Like, I loved senior year so much. And then a week before I went to college, I was having dinner with my aunts, and my sister, I don't remember what we were talking about, but my sister, we were talking about boys, and they're like, oh, any boyfriends? You know, because like, that's what aunts do or whatever. She's like, tell them. And I'm like, no, like, stop, because I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't feel ready, and I was scared, and I was like, no. And I was thinking like, we're girlfriends. And my sister was looking at me like, tell them. And I was like, no. I remember just looking at my aunt, and I was like, finally they were like, tell us what? Because they could hear my sister. And I was like, I like girls too. My one aunt who was talking about, you know, guys was like, oh, okay, so when I talk about guys, I mean girls also for you. And then she started talking about, just went on normally with the conversation, like nothing had happened. That feeling was so good because it's like, they didn't even care. Like, they just didn't care. Like, it just was so great to be in a place where, like, it was so normal. It was so normal, and it just felt so good to be accepted, and it felt so good to be loved. And, you know, we continued to talk about everything, and my, you know, finally, after, like, we talked about other stuff, my other aunt was like, you know, I kind of suspected, like, I kind of knew, because even though I wasn't out publicly, like, I was still going to Pride and, like, very pro-LGBT rights and, like, very much like an activist. So my aunt was like, you know, you've always marched to the beat of your own drum. It just made me so happy, like, being in a place where it was just so normal and so casual. I'm very lucky to have the family that I do. After that, I was like, you know what? I've told my aunts now, and it's time to tell my parents. Literally the day before I left for college, this was really recent, it was six months ago, I told my parents I have to tell you something, and they were like, okay. They took me to their room, you know, we all sat down in the bed, and I think my dad was standing, but me and my mom sat down, and they were really nervous. They're like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I'm like, yes, everything's fine. I just have to tell you something. And they're like, okay, what is it? It took me a while to say it, but I said, I am bisexual. Like, their reaction was so minimal. Like, I thought that they would be like, you know, ask me a bunch of questions and all this stuff. They were like, okay. And then my mom's crazy. She's like, you know, I always knew. She's like, I could always tell, you know, and I was like, how so? And she's like, well, you're my daughter. Of course I could tell. And I don't know if they actually could tell, but I was very much into Pride, and, like, you know, I went to Pride that year and wore, like, a rainbow outfit with rainbow glitter and a rainbow everything, and, you know, like, they took me to Pride, like, for them not to know, I don't know. But my dad was like, okay. He's like, as you know, I don't want to know anything about your guys' love lives, but okay. Like, he's like, guy, girl, whoever, I just don't want to know. And that's how he's always been. He never likes, like, talking about our relationships and stuff. He's like, I don't want to know. And we're like, okay, like, fine, Dad. Yeah, now I finally posted about it on Instagram. I was hidden for so long, and I was ashamed for so long, like, just ashamed of who I was, and I couldn't be myself, and I couldn't, it's like a part of myself was hidden, and a part of myself was hiding from the world. It feels so good to finally be out, like, fully out. It's just the best feeling, because I'm happy, I'm me, regardless of anything that's going on in my life. At least I know that I'm comfortable in my bisexuality. Now I can openly talk about it, and I can talk about it with, like, my friends at school and help other people through their confusing times, because being bisexual is so confusing. It was probably the most confusing thing I've ever had to go through. So if you are struggling with trying to figure out your sexuality, just know that it takes time. It took me years, 5-6 years, to really be comfortable in it. I'm just happy in my bisexuality. The one thing, though, is I really don't care what gender you are. The one definition of bisexuality that changed my life forever, I saw a Miss Fender's video. Her definition of it, or she heard this definition, that it's you like your own gender and every other gender. And that blew my mind. I was like, oh, yes! So that is my bisexual journey. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I can make more videos about bisexuality if you would like. Just know that if you are confused, it takes time. You will get through it. You will, I promise. I know I'm very lucky to have family that supports me. If you do not feel like your family will support you, know there are people out there who will support you and that love you and care about you. Feel free to reach out to me. You can always message me on Instagram. That's probably the best way to reach me, is messaging me on Instagram. I'll link my Instagram, Twitter, and stuff below. Thank you all for listening to my bisexual journey. talk to you soon. Bye.